So you will never ever overcome 100% ego. I still have a negative ego, like all of us. We all have it. But the idea is, how much can you overcome? So you minimize. And the more you minimize your negative ego, the more you go in the scale of happiness. The more you go in the scale of purpose. The more you go in the scale of meaning and fulfillment. Yeah? So it's very, very important. Now, how does one overcome negative ego? Let me ask you a question. How does one overcome negative ego? Accept. Yeah, very important. First thing is accept that I have a negative ego. Because if you don't accept you have a negative ego, then you never overcome it. You know, there are some people in life who are not coachable. You see those people? They're not coachable. Because they think they know it all. No matter what you tell them, they will say yes, but they mean no. But they will never do it. Because they are consumed by their ego and they feel, I cannot get better. If Cristiano Ronaldo can get better, if Lionel Messi can get better, if Brian Tracy can get better, why can't we? Right? Because the great people in the world, Messi was first in practice, last to get out. Ronaldo was first in practice, last to go out. Ronaldo was thinking of hiring Usain Bolt to teach him how to sprint. So he never stops getting better. I mean, they're the best in the world, but they're still hungry to get better. Michael Jordan, when he was playing basketball, first in practice, last to go home. Because they really want to get better. So if we realize that we can get better, yeah, so you never stop getting better. But if you're not coachable, then you're dead, right? So yeah, if you don't accept you have a negative ego, you will never get better at ego because you don't think you need to get better. Yeah, so the first step to get over negative ego is to accept it. Done.
Here's the introduction. We say unlocking your potential. And learn the skills you need to increase your sales and profitability in your market. Each of us, and when I was a young man, I mentioned this yesterday, when I was a young man, somebody told me that the top 20% of people earn 80% of the money. I later learned the top 20% of businesses in every industry, in every market, in every economy earn 80% of the profits in that. And they have studied why this is for years, and we could spend many more days on it. I stripped it down to the key things. Basically, it says that everybody starts off in life earning ability, earning a little. But some people in life earn a lot. And the question is, what is the difference between the two? And that's what I have worked on all my life. And the answer is knowledge and skill. We're working in the knowledge age, the information age. We're not working by loading bales and toting hay and working on the farm. What we do is we work with our minds. I'm reading a book by George Gilder called Knowledge and Power. And what he says is that the wealth component of every part of business is the knowledge component. It's the mental skills that people have to take things, the raw materials, and turn them into valuable commodities, services, and so on. It's pure mental computing power that does it. At the University of Chicago, they call this intellectual capital, IC, or what they call human capital, HC. And they say the greatest value, the most valuable thing you have is your human capital. This is what he's called it, earning ability. I've been calling it that for a long time, and now the professionals are calling it. Good for them. Okay, so you are extraordinary. You say you have special talents and abilities that you can use to achieve all your goals in life. A friend of mine named Dan Sullivan has one of the biggest business coaching programs in the U.S., and it's all based around this simple concept, is that every person, he says, you have unique abilities. Well, I say that you have special talents and abilities that you can use to achieve all your goals in life. And the starting point is for you to become clear about what they are, and then to focus on developing them to a high level. According to the research, only about 2% of people ever take the time to identify. So here's my first question to you, is basically what are they? If I were to ask you, what is your best skill, your special talent, that is most responsible for your success in life today? Again, this is a great question. What is most responsible for your success? Going back to early childhood, when you were growing up, going to school, when you got your first job, what was it that you had that led to your biggest successes? So please write down your answer. What is your first answer? The first idea of your very best skill or ability. Now you must know the answer to this, or you must have a guess. Sometimes you can ask someone else, what do you think is my very best skill? And sometimes they can reach out and say, well, you know, you're very good at this. And you suddenly realize that's what you've always wanted to do. That's what you've always wanted to be. And when you find out what it is that you're really good at, and then find a way to do that in a profitable way, not only will you make more money than any other way, but you'll also be happier and more fulfilled, as Azim was talking about. So the second question is we ask, and I began to teach my clients this, there's only 4 ways to change your life. Again, I have read more than 6,000 books and articles. I've studied 150,000 hours. There's only 4 ways. Number 1 is you can do more of some things. So one of the questions you ask is, what should I be doing more of? What should I be doing more of? And the answer is you should be doing more of the things that are getting you the best results. Doing more of the things that you enjoy and do well and that are most profitable. Now this you think, well, this is so obvious. No, it's not obvious. In multi-product or multi-service companies, 20% of their products and services account for 80% of their revenues, profits, growth, and everything else. And they spend 80% of their time on the 80% of products that only account for 20% of their wealth. They divide their time equally over the number of tasks, activities, and products, rather than focusing 80% of the time on the 20% that yield most of the profits. All companies and individuals who are successful become very clear about why they're successful and the most valuable things they can do, and they do only those things. We'll come back to this later, but Warren Buffett was asked last year, what is the secret of his success? And this has been widely published. He said, the secret of my success is I say no to everything. I say no to everything and to anything that is not the highest use of my time. The highest use of my time is to study investments and make investment decisions. He said it is not to make coffee or to chat with friends or anything else. So what should you do more of? And then the second question is, what should you do less of? And this is the flip side of the same coin. You do less of the things that are lower value, less of the things that give you high returns, less of the things that you enjoy, that you have to force yourself to do. We'll talk about this tomorrow, but one of the most important things you do is you delegate, outsize, downsource, eliminate all those things that you don't enjoy doing and don't do particularly well, that take up your time and take you away from the things that really make a difference in your life. So number 3, way to change your life, start doing something new. This is the hardest of all. What should you start doing that you're not doing today? And as Confucius said, and I was in China talking about this 10 days ago, Confucius said a journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step. We all know the things we should do, the books we should read, the courses we should take, the new products we should develop, the new changes we should make in our business. But starting something new is very difficult. There's only one key to starting something new, is take the first step. Take the first step. I need to do this. I know I need to do this. Just take the first step. And the good news is you can always see the first step. You can always see one step. As soon as you decide on a goal or an objective, the first step appears in front of you almost like a light on a restaurant floor guiding you to the table. And if you take the first step, the second step will appear. You'll always be able to see one step ahead. So you take the first step and then the second step. If you just keep doing that, you'll eventually get to your goal. But the first step is the hardest thing of all. Everybody in this room has books at home that they need to read. You bought them, acquired them, got them as gifts and everything else. And they're sitting there. You know, most business books are not ever open. They sit there sort of like people think they go walk past the book slowly. So they'll sort of absorb some of the ideas in the book. And 90% of business books that are open are never read past the first chapter. And very often, somewhere in the second, third, fifth, 10th chapter is the idea that will change your life. My friend Jim Rohn said, never worry about the cost of a book. The thing you worry about is the cost of not reading it, the cost to your life. One of the things that I found is that our whole life is a result of the actions that we have taken, but it's also a result of the inactions, the things we have done, but the things we have failed to do. And sometimes the things we have failed to do are the most important of all. I've spoken to many older people who are wealthy or not wealthy, and they always regret not having started something earlier, not having done something earlier. They wish they had started earlier. They knew it, they had the idea, they had the opportunity, but they always procrastinated on something that was important. And now they look back as the biggest regret they had in life. So number 4 is stop doing something altogether. Now we have an exercise, and sometimes I put people through this in detail, but it's called a Quink exercise. And this exercise, by the way, is sometimes worth the value of this entire program. Now the Quink exercise stands for the words, knowing what I now know. And so we ask this question, we call it zero-based thinking, and I'll return to this. Zero-based thinking is where you zero-base your whole life, and you ask yourself, is there anything that I am doing today that, knowing what I now know, Quink, I would not get into again today. I would not start it up. And then we take people through every part of their life and their business. Is there any person, business or personal, who, knowing what you now know, you would not get involved with again? A friend of mine found that about 20% of his customers took all the time of the company. They were the biggest complainers, the poorest payers, the poorest buyers, and everything else. So he just made a decision to fire the bottom 20% of his customers. And what he did was he said, you know, he did two things. Two ways to get rid of what we call customers from hell. Number one is to say, you know, we just can't serve you anymore because your requirements are too high. But thank you very much for dealing with us in the past, and have a good life. Now go and buy from our competitor and ruin his future. The other thing you can do is just raise your prices. Just tell your unpleasant clients that effective July 1st, you're raising your prices by 30%. And most of those people, because they're quibbling and fighting and complaining over every single penny, will quit. They'll say, well, I'm not paying anymore, and they'll just go away. But look at every person in your business. Is there anyone in your business you would not hire back again today if they walked in and applied for the job? Is there any product or service you would not bring to the market again today, knowing what you now know? Is there anything that you're doing in your business, any process, any investment, any use of time, that knowing what you now know, you would not get involved with again? So keep saying, knowing what I now know. Now how can you tell if you are in a zero-based thinking situation? It's called stress. Now stress means that you suffer, you suffer chronic stress. That means that you're always thinking about it, worrying about it, keeps you awake at night, and so on. It's chronic stress. It's like a toothache that just goes on and on. And your job is to identify those things and say, knowing what I now know, would I get involved with this person or situation again? If the answer is no, stop. Now we'll come back to this later when we talk about profit strategies. But if a company gets into trouble, and very often it's because the people managing the company have made bad decisions and will not reverse the decisions. So the directors, the owners of the company, fire the president and all the people around and bring in a new person, which is called a turnaround specialist. A turnaround specialist comes in, first thing he does, because I've worked with these people, is, are there any products or services here that, knowing what we now know, we not bring to market? And if there are, they chop them, and like an axe. And you read these stories about companies. Starbucks gets into financial trouble. Howard Schultz, the founder, comes back and closes 3,000 stores, lays off 50,000 people, shuts down half the company, and he does it overnight. And people go, Hewlett-Packard just laid off 6,000 people and then 12,000 more. And some of the biggest companies in the world, finally they get an adult with an axe. And the adult comes in and says, knowing what we now know, should we be in this business at all? And if the answer is no, then they chop it. Immediately shut down the factory, close the stores, lay off 10, 20,000 people. Why? It's because you have to do that to save the business. If you don't, the business just dies a slow death because the the loss-making parts of the business are dragging it down like a huge weight on a person trying to swim, drowning the company. So be your own turnaround specialist. Be your own expert. Look at your company as if you were a consultant brought in from the outside and ask, please look at my company and evaluate it and tell me what I should do more of, less of, start or stop. Be your own management consultant. It's a great way of thinking, and top people do this. They stand back and say, if this company belonged to someone else, what advice would I give that other person? And sometimes they come up with some real insights. So those are the four. So the next discovery that we made, and by the way, we're going to come back to this over and over again. I call it start, stop, more of, less of, start or stop. More of, less of, start or stop. More of, less of, start or stop. Any part of your life where you're not happy, just say, what do I need to do? More of, less of, start or stop. And almost invariably, you'll come up with the answer. So we say, in terms of time allocation, you cannot save time. You can only spend it differently. You can't save time. You can only spend it on higher value activities. So the question, I'm going to ask you to fill this out. The question is, what should you do more of? What are you going to do less of? What are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? And just write the first answers that come to your mind on page 6 in those slots that are available. What do you ever do in life? This is really the key to your becoming a high performer, high contributing, and highly paid person. There was a big lawsuit in Silicon Valley where a Chinese woman was suing one of the big, it's called Kleiner Perkins, one of the big venture capital firms for not promoting her. And she lost the lawsuit. And then during the course of the lawsuit, they talked about how the head of the company, his name was John Draper, I believe, how he used his time. He said he was surrounded by 12 people who did nothing but keep everything away from him except the 1 or 2 things he could do. The 12 highly paid people, sometimes earning several $100,000 a year, and their sole job was to keep away and do the things that are small so we could only do those 1 or 2 things. Warren Buffett model. And this is your job as well, is to keep focused, keep asking the question. And as your job responsibilities and work changes, keep coming back to that question. If I could only do one thing all day long, which one thing would it be? And you must know the answer to this. If you don't know the answer to this, you're driving in a fog. You cannot contribute the highest value that you're capable of if you don't even know what it is. Which brings us to the next session. Session 2, offer a great product or service. And this is, in reality, this is really the most important session of all. 80 to 90% of the reason why businesses fail is because nobody wants their product. It's they don't like it. The babies don't like the baby food, the dogs don't like the dog food. And it's very hard to sell a product that nobody wants or needs. Remember that customers always have 2 choices. Choice number 1 is that they can buy from you. Choice number 2 is they can buy from your competitor. And choice number 3 is they can buy nothing at all. And as we said before, customers are just like you. They're intensely selfish. They want only the very best for the very least at the best level of service possible. And they will abandon any supplier if somebody else offers them something better, faster, cheaper, newer, easier, and so on. And so your job is always to be the best choice. So the quality of your product or service determines 90% of your business success. And this is so powerful and so simple. It's not the marketing, it's not the packaging, it's not all of these things. At the end of the day, your product has to be of excellent quality. And if you do not have an excellent quality product, there's only one way that you can sell it. How is it? You can lower your prices until you go broke. And most people think, well, the key is to lower my prices before my competitors find out and lower their prices as well. Michael Porter calls this race to the bottom. Is the people with the average products race to the bottom by lowering their prices and trying to get people to buy their product just to keep their doors open. But people who have premium products, they charge premium prices. Remember this? They charge $800, $900, $1,000 for this, and you can buy the same smartphone, no, not the same, for $200 from a Chinese manufacturer. The Chinese now are the biggest manufacturers of smartphones in the world. And why? It's because they're cheap and because they're selling to an inexpensive market. So the quality is everything. Now, Inc. magazine produces their Inc. 500 every year. These are the 500 fastest growing small and medium-sized businesses. The business company that won last year grew 42,000% in 3 years. 42,000. Started by 2 immigrants, by the way. And that's 4,200%. That's like 100% growth would be doubling. It's 4,200%. And anyway, they interviewed all of the presidents of the founders of the Inc. 500, and they found one thing they all had in common. They all agreed that the very best place to invest their money was in improving the quality of the product. Not the internet, not packaging, not design, not advertising, not television, radio, and newspaper. Improve the quality of the product. Some years ago, I worked for this large company, and this company owned several first-class restaurants. And they had a manager of the restaurant division who had actually gone to work for them, had a percentage of the restaurants, and was in charge of basically designing, building, and managing the restaurants. And they were first-class restaurants, and they were always full, no matter what the economy. So I asked him, his name was Mitch, I said, ask him, Mitch, what is your secret? And he said, the secret to restaurant success is put it on the plate. Put it on the plate. He said, it's not the size of the restaurant or the music or the decorations or advertising. It's what's on the plate in front of the diner. That's what will determine your success. And we were just talking about this yesterday. The most popular pizza restaurant in the world is in Naples. It's called Michele's, and Michele's, this female of Michael. And this serves two pizzas, two types of pizza, and movie stars fly into the Naples airport in their private jets and take limousines to this little cheap restaurant, which is about half the size of this room, and it's on a normal street with cobblestones, and people sit on plastic chairs and plastic tables, and when they open their doors at about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, there's 300 people in the street. You think that they're giving away $100 bills. And people recognize it. And in the guides that you read, the Zagat guides and the Michelin guides, it's recognized as the best pizza restaurant in Europe. And people come from everywhere, and they have two pizzas, cheese pizza and tomato pizza. And that's all. And they are so delicious that people fall over it and come from miles around. The most popular sushi restaurant in Japan, in the world, is a little shop in a subway, on one of the subway aisles where the people go back and forth between gates. There's a little shop there, and there's a father and his son. And what they do is they slice this pizza and they make it. It's recognized in Europe as the finest sushi, finest sushi place in the world. Have you heard about this place? And people go there and they line up. Why? It's because of the quality. Everything is quality. Think about quality all the time. 90% of your success will be determined by your level of quality. Quality is the key determinant of your growth and profitability. If you have the highest quality, you charge premium prices. If you have lower quality, or if you are average quality, all you can do is cut your prices. And so your product service quality is the key determinant of your reputation. Now, in the world of life, they found at Harvard, is your most valuable corporate asset is your reputation. And your reputation, which we'll talk about later in marketing, is what people say about you and your company and your product after they have done business with you. And in your business, it's how they talk about your business. It's with regard to you, it's what they say about you. As I told you, my friend from Australia had this question, what are you famous for? What are you famous for? What do people say about you behind your back? When they think about him or her, what do they say about you? That is the most critical single determinant of your success in life, is what people say about you when you're not there. And in businesses, it's what they say about you and your products and services after they have consumed them that determines your entire future. It is the one major, biggest single predictor of business success and profitability. And so we say here, the key measure of business success is how often customers say, this is a great product. How often do customers, after they have used your product or service, turn to their friends with their eyes shining and say, Jesus is a great product. Jesus is a great pizza. Jesus is great sushi. Jesus are great clothes. Jesus is a great building company. These are great people. It's a great product or service. It's a great company. How many people are enthusiastic, as my friend Ken Blanchard wrote a book called Raving Fans, is that your job is to create fans that rave about you. They run out and they grab their friends and they tell them the experience they had with your product or service. Sometimes you'll see a good movie. I remember, I don't know if you saw the movie or if you liked it, but I remember the movie The King's Speech. And the movie The King's Speech came out, and they did no pre-release, and they did no previews for the critics, which they usually do, and the critics assess the movie and it gets out and so on. Is they released it cold, and a couple of critics were invited in to screen the movie, and they came out. They said, "What do you think about this movie?" They said, "Geez, this is a great movie. This has got Academy Award written all over it." But they didn't screen it. Then they released the movie. And people had heard about the movie because of word of mouth, and people went to the movie, and they wanted it to be a good movie, but what kind of a movie are you going to make about a king giving a speech, you know? And they went to this movie, and I remember my wife and I going, and we came out, and we were just shining. She said, geez, that was a great movie. Wow, has anybody seen the movie, The King's Speech? Was it a great movie? It's a great movie. You come out, even 2 or 3 years after you saw the movie, every time you think about it, it makes you happy. It makes you happy to think that I actually saw that movie. And so my point is, this is the central focus. This is clarity. Clarity is to be the highest quality provider and focus on that. Focus everything on that. You can do your advertising and your peripheral developments and public relations, but make sure that your product is great. There's I'm trying to think, it was a Lebanese or Turk who moved to the United States, immigrant, came with his family, and he liked yogurt. And he found that the yogurts that they sold in America were kind of watery, milky type yogurts, like Dannon and other yogurts. But the yogurt he liked was Greek yogurt. And the Greek yogurt is thick and high protein, very different from normal yogurts. And so he kept looking for Greek yogurt because he was accustomed to eating Greek yogurt. He couldn't find it anywhere, so he started mixing up Greek yogurt in his garage. He started to get the ingredients and put them together and make Greek yogurt. It was very thick, heavy, high protein, very delicious. And he began selling it to local stores. And the local stores were a little bit, suspicious, so they carried it a little bit, with the understanding that if people don't buy it, then you'll take it back. But people started to buy it and taste it, and they started to buy it off the shelf. And they started to buy more and more, and so he opened up a little factory making it, and then he found a Danone or yogurt factory that was for sale. That was a big factory, but the company had shut down, and he didn't have any money. But he managed to work a deal where he borrowed some money and everything else, and he opened this up, and the yogurt is called Chobani, and Chobani has swept the United States like a brush fire. Every single store is carrying Chobani. The man is a billionaire now. He's got 49% of the Greek yogurt market, and trucks and huge factories everywhere producing this stuff. We started off with one product. So if you ask anybody in the United States, what's the best yogurt in the U.S.? Chobani. Not let me think about it. Let me go home and ask my wife. Everybody who knows yogurt says Chobani, and it's cost 50% more. Because it's far more expensive than normal yogurt, and it flies off the shelves. Why? Because of the quality. And so this is the key to your success, is to focus on the quality. And so here are some questions you need to ask. And these are the questions that determine your success or failure. Number one, we say that quality is what your customers say it is. It's not what you say it is. You can't say to your customer, this is good quality. The customer will tell you if it's good quality. And your quality rating, based on the quality colleges, is the percentage of time that people, what percentage of time does your product or service do what you say it will do? In other words, what percentage of your customers out of 100, after they consume your product, say this is a great product? Is it 10%, 20%, 50%? Whatever the percentage is the exact predictor of the future of your business. If it's a low percent, might as well close your business and go home. But now here's the good news, is every product that today is a world leader started off as a poor product. And then the people in charge focused on continuous and never-ending improvement. This is called CANEI, C-A-N-E-I. It's the great secret to business success, is continuous and never-ending improvement. Sony Corporation, which was the leader in consumer electronics for many years until it became complacent and fell off the tracks. Sony started off after World War II as a manufacturer of rice cookers. You know, the Japanese eat a lot of rice. And the rice cookers were such poor quality that they caused the rice to ball up and become inedible. That was the beginning of Sony Corporation. Today, for over 20 years, they were the world's quality leader in personal electronics, and they consistently charged 20, 30, 50% premium, and people ripped it out of their hands and bought it off the shelves. And you know what? It turns out that they had their products manufactured by the same people manufacturing lower quality products, medium quality products. Same components, but they had the Sony name. Why? People would pay premiums for quality. So here are the questions. First question I want you to think about, don't answer it yet, is what exactly do you sell? Now you have to define this in terms of what your product or service does to change or improve the life or work of your customer. You do not define your product in terms of its yogurt or its radios or its cars or its financial services. People do not buy products or services. They only buy what happens in their lives as a result. Every purchase is in anticipation of how my life will be afterwards. So if you sell financial services, you sell peace of mind and security. If you sell health food products, you sell increased energy, better sleep, and less weight. If you sell automobiles, you sell safe and comfortable transportation for you and your family. So what we would have people do in our entrepreneurial programs is we'd have them come and sit in a chair like this and say, tell us what you sell, but do not tell us the name of your product or service or company. We are not interested in the product, service, or company. We're only interested in how the customer's life will be changed as a result. So when you write your answer to this question, that's what you sell. You buy a benefit, a result, or an outcome. You buy a solution or you sell a benefit, result, or outcome. You sell a solution to a problem of some kind. Number two, which of your products and services are the most popular? Which are in the top 20%? Number three, what do your products and services offer to your customers that makes them superior to your competitors? If someone were to say to you, all right, I see you sell this, but other people sell it, in what way is your product superior to everybody else in the market? Give me at least one way. The rule is you need three. Like a triangle, like a golden triangle, you need one area where you dominate, it's called dominate the market niche, where you are recognizably the best in your product category, and you need two other areas where you are excellent. One area where you're the best, and two other areas where you're obviously excellent. What are the big three for you and your product? Most people don't know the answer. Number four, if your best products were perfect in the minds of your customers, how would they be different from today? If they were perfect, if your customer said, this product is absolutely perfect, I would consume it and recommend it to anybody, how would it be different? Number five, what skills, abilities, knowledge, or capabilities will you need in the future to produce great products and services? Gary Hamel and V.K. Brahalin, two Indian professors at U.S. universities, wrote a book a few years ago called Compete for the Future. This book was the book for corporations and executives for several years, and for good reason. They had several different points in there. One of them was the importance of clarity of goals and objectives, and they called this future intent. Think into the future and be absolutely crystal clear about where you want to be. The second thing they said is identify the qualities, skills, and competencies that you and your company will need to be the leaders 5 years from now. And then begin today to develop those competencies. Because every company that is a market leader has the most competent people in critical areas, without exception. And all business skills are learnable. So if you're going to need to develop new business skills for the future, when is a good time to start developing those skills? The answer is now. Get on with it. Remember, the biggest regrets that people have is, I wish I had started learning that skill a long time ago. Number six, what products or services should you abandon or discontinue because you cannot achieve excellence in those areas? The best companies are always asking, look at our competition. Look at our best competition. Can we beat them? Can we beat them? Can we offer something that's faster, better, cheaper, more attractive than them? If the answer is no, get out of the field. Abandon. Did you see what General Electric just did? From front pages of every financial newspaper in the world, General Electric just got out of the financing business. It's a $25 billion division of General Electric. They have done financing for all their products and the products of others. And they've just decided that we are not in the finance and banking business. We're in the manufacturing business of high quality products. And they're abandoning that. So General Electric is getting out. I mean, this financial division is enormous. But you know what they said? Is we cannot be better than Citibank. We cannot be better than Wells Fargo. We cannot be better than Barclays. We cannot be better than other banking organizations that are vastly bigger than us, have vastly greater depth and so on. So they're selling off the whole division. not cheap, mind you, not cheap. And number 7, what 3 things could you do starting today to trigger the response, this is a great product, from your competitors? What 3 things could you do? And the final is, what one action, what measurable, time-bounded, specific action are you going to take immediately to create this impression as a result of your answers to these questions? So pick a small town that was maybe 5,000 population and of no interest to the big boys come in and put in their big stores. And they would build their Walmart store just on the outskirts of the town.